Hello everybody and welcome to another list video here at Playing Board Games. I am joined by Daniel from Quick Learner, and today we are going to talk about 6 cards that made us go, what the frick? What the F? You know?
Are we allowed to say the word? Or only
yeah,
later
just not in the
video?
first like 10 seconds. Yeah.
That's
just
right, okay.
Given some space that we'll be able to say that later.
Okay.
But I left this one open for your interpretation, because when I came up with this, I was actually just sitting on the couch watching Canada in the World Cup, and I was like, you know what? I think that could be a fun little list video. So I sent you the message being like, this is what we're doing, and you came up with 3 cards pretty quick, and I also had 3 cards pretty quick. And I kind of went through the whole gamut of the what the fuck reaction, so I think that that's going to be pretty fun here. We'll let the cards come on the screen, and we'll explain why they made us say this, and enjoy the list video, everybody. Daniel, I'll throw this to you for your first card, which is Scrape By.
I think all of my 3 cards are Chapter 2 cards, because they're the most recent ones I can think of having a what the fuck just like reading this and saying like, what's going on? What am I missing here from the design standpoint? I had a recent video about timely intervention, and I think like timely intervention as like the lucky replacement is really well designed. It's really interesting. It has some pros and cons, and you spend a lot of time thinking about that card, and then they print this in the core set too, and you're like, huh?
Yeah, what the frick?
What? That is the reaction I had. Just like blew out of the water every idea I had that they were going for with kind of balancing the what can survivors do to react to skill tests, because this just says do whatever you want. Take whatever test you want. Maybe you'll take a horror, but who cares? And that's weird. We had an effect kind of like this in Chapter 1 that was kind of degenerate, so much that they had to remove it from the game after it was played, Eucatastrophe. Mostly through the recursion, right? And some particular Elder Signs. This doesn't do as much as that card did, but it still does kind of 90% of what you needed that card for.
Yeah.
And maybe does some worse things, because now you can start taking tests where you don't reduce your skill value to 0, which Catastrophe needed you to do. I don't get how this fits in without some kind of remove from game clause on it. But
yeah.
Okay.
I think Eucatastrophe is a great sort of kind of like comparison here. And while I think that Eucatastrophe has a higher ceiling, I agree with you there, right? Because like it has this one, Scrape By, has a much lower floor, because realistically you're playing Eucatastrophe for one reason. You have a good Elder Sign, right? Like it's what, 3 experience and 3 cost, right? So like it's 2 cost. So it's like not cheap. It's not like a cheap card for your deck. Scrape By is like one of the most it's almost the most free a card could be, right? Like for its sort of effect. And what I really liked about Timely Intervention in comparison to Scrape By was the fact that there's really no good way to recur those kind of effects. And as you and I saw in a video that we're going to be discussing soon, being able to recur your like lucky style effects is a very powerful thing. But this is an event, and there's actually a multitude of ways to recur events in the new core set. Timely Intervention, I agree, it made sense. Scrape By, what the frick happened here? Like, this is a little bit over the top.
Yeah, the recursion from this card comes from Do or Die, which is level 0, which feels like that was a fix for Resourceful, and yet it's still picking this crazy card up. And then also Hunter's Instinct level 2, right? So.
Yes, yeah. The thing about Do or Die, and this is something that when we were looking at the cards for the first time with Travis, he was like, he saw Do or Die and he's like, oh, they didn't learn from their mistakes with Resourceful. And it had me thinking about that. And like, it's true that Resourceful is very powerful because you can get back your skills, which are very powerful in the Survivor class. But realistically, recursion is always going to grab the most powerful thing it can grab, right? That's the thing about recursion. You can't really make it worse because it's always going to grab the strongest thing that you can grab, right?
That's true. I just think that with, say, Lucky 3 being so free, fast, zero cost, it was easy to pick that up with Resourceful on the very same test you used Lucky on,
Yep.
that at least Do or Die can't pull back the timely interventions.
Yep.
But you know what? It can pull back. It's
Yeah.
this card.
Scrape by, which, yeah, no, scrape by really should have removed from the game. Like, I think it should have. It honestly probably should have cost 3 as well. Like, this is a powerful effect that like a survivor should like have to think about running as opposed to just like having and running and just winning very easily with.
All that aside, I also think that it leads to a very weird play pattern, unlike the other cards we discussed that are kind of that reactive, lucky type ability. This, you don't have to have any particularly good skill value. I finished off Brethren of Ash with a basic fight action because it did not matter.
Yep.
Right? The fight can be a test of 5, 6, 8, doesn't matter. As long as you don't pull the auto fail, you pass.
Yep.
And that is not what those other cards do. You have to be at least within range. You don't need to be within range at all. That's weird. I think that's a bit of a design. I don't know. It's a miss for me, not just from the gameplay aspect, but also from the thematic. I can pick the weakest action from just whatever like my investigator's doing, and you just pass anyway. That's a little odd.
I'm really curious to see how this one evolves for me in Legacy play, because I had the option of taking this in that Silas deck, and I still took Lucky 3s, and I'm very curious as to why that is. If it's because Lucky 3 has card draw, if it's because it can help you. I'm very curious to kind of see how this goes in like the Legacy environment, because it is, I think it's powerful enough for Legacy, right?
It is.
But
how many of the effects do you need, right? You were sitting
I was
on
having
the
4 in my
Lucky
deck, yeah.
Right. And you weren't using them all the time. That's the thing about this card too, is that it will sit in your hand for a little while.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But I don't know. Like, you could also play it kind of aggressively and pick them back up. So
yeah. Yeah, but in Chapter 2, this card is an easy, like, auto-include in any Survivor deck. Card's kind of just, like, nuts. And I think to me, it's like what you were saying, how because it can be on any test, this card actually kind of ruins, like, it limits scenario design and encounter card design, because they can't be like, oh, here's a test 8 that scales down as you go further into the scenario to a reasonable number. Because survivors could just be like, boom, 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 I've solved it, you know?
Test 100.
Yeah, which they have done. And, you know, now it's just like, well, I've done it. Which, I mean, it's fine if it's like, you know, that happens now and again, but I do think it limits design in a way that's not good.
Well, that's the other part about it being level 1. I mean, Daniela can pick this up right away. Why not? Anyone who has class Survivor, even level 0 to 1 Survivor events and skills, which was a thing in Chapter 1 that they did a lot. So it just feels a little too free.
Yes. Yep. All right, let's hop on to my card here, which is Curse of Aeons, the card that makes me go, what the fuck, whenever I see it. So when I first thought of this, let me read what Curse of Aeons does, because as a player, you might not know if you're watching or listening to this video. It's a 2-cost, 3 experience asset, and as a reaction, when a second curse token is revealed during a single skill test at your location, exhaust Curse of Aeons. Cancel that token, thank God, and treat it as if it were a skull token instead. Wait, what the hell? You may choose to remove both of those tokens from the Chaos Bag after the test ends. This is what I'm considering to be this card is bad in a way that is mind-numbing portion of this video here for my entries. Each entry is a different flavor of what the fuck, so I think that's going to be fun. But this one is just the very simple, what the fuck were they thinking when this card was designed? Because, can I be real? I'm going to just say it, and you can agree or disagree. This card does nothing, right?
I mean, there's nothing on it that screams, here's how you use this card for some kind of good effect.
Yeah.
There's just nothing there.
It's nothing. The text is actually just like you play this card, and like I understand the concept this was like the idea that they did this for a little bit, and there's a lot of history of this on the channel of being like, hey, this is a skull token, this is where Jim can shine. But the problem is that Well, one, Jim's ability is kind of just you pass the test, and as we just saw with Scrape By, that like Survivor was already doing that really well, and it's like not really at a. It's not really as exciting for the Mystic class compared to the Survivor class due to stat lines, right? So Mystics can kind of also pass whatever test they need or cancel whatever test they don't want to take. So it's not really that much of an exciting payoff, but also it's like I like this card flabbergasts me. It leaves me speechless. I was reading the text again as I was going through my thought process here. It does nothing. Like, it's unless you're Jim where your skulls are 0, most of the time skulls are worse than -2s. Like, I understand the concept is that your second curse token, hey, now it's just like a -2 that doesn't draw, and it's like curse protection. But like, why? Why does this cost 3 experience? Like, why does it? Yeah, why does it only do nothing? Like, why does it just like? That's the thing that is just like so flabbergasted. Because when
Here's my hypothesis.
Yeah, go for it.
They had this art, and they said we have to put something else with a skull in the text box.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So I mean, you can make a lot of arguments about like, well, drawing skulls is good for your sixth sense, for whatever, but there's just so many other ways to do this without jumping through the hoops of, well, 3 XP, playing the card, and this doesn't just give you any extra benefit. If you compare it to Blessing of Isis, which is a legit card, right? Because the Elder Sign is just, you're doing it because you want to draw the Elder Sign, and the skull token does not do anything on its own.
Yep.
And even if you have Sixth Sense out or Jim or whatever, like you need those other things, right? It just doesn't do enough on its own. What if it gave you like a resource, or maybe more than that, a card draw? If you did this, you need a little bit of a carrot.
That's what Bjorn and I, because we've been designing cards, we call that a kicker. This cards needs a kicker where it's just like, oh, that's why I want to do this, or like, oh, that's an interesting thing I can build around, right? Where it's like, remove that bottom line about you may choose to remove both of those tokens when the Chaos Bag ends, and give us like a lightning bolt effect we can do with the Curse of Aeons, or reaction when a skull is revealed, right? So it actually can do something so it actually just do something. Like, this card's all kinds of fricked up. I originally was going to put the Flute of the Outer Gods, because that's like the card when people would look at like the Blood of Thoth of being like, this card's unplayable. And like, I'm sorry. Like, I could tell you're a new Arkham fan when you think that Blood of Thoth was unplayable, because we got Flute of the Outer Gods, but more importantly, Curse of Aeons, which you actually have to spend 3 experience to put into your deck. like you can't just like put that in your level 0 deck and regret it. You have to actively choose. You have to read this card and be like, it does something, right? And then put it into your deck, which is, I think, just not possible. I just don't think that's a thing.
It is funny that they never really gave a payoff for drawing skulls, even though they kind of wanted you to with these sorts of cards. But ultimately, like, Ritual Candles at level 0 just does the curse and skull mitigation better, right?
Yeah. I think that's actually some design that if this was made like more modern Arkham, I think that Jim would be very cool to see. I mean, we know what Jim is like now. He's an ally and he's bombastic. But like, I feel like if Jim was released today in Arkham, there would be a more philosophy of being like, okay, so Jim's ability is here. Now here's some skull or symbol synergy effects that you can use in the set, right? Kind of like how,
how is he released in Dunwich with Alyssa Graham, which did nothing for him, and then Olive was released later? Like, I don't get it. Anyway, all right, we're getting off track.
No, I mean, Jim also is kind of here for, we love Jim on PBG, but, Yeah. All right, let's go to your second card here, Daniel, which is the new Carolyn Fern.
Yeah, I guess there's multiple levels of WTF here. The first one is the obvious, like, wow, she's a seeker now. I didn't know they could do that. Which we had a discussion about that between the two of us way back when, and it seemed like, wow, anything's possible now. You get a yellow Carolyn Fern. Okay, but beyond that, I mean, she was one of my favorite investigators in Chapter 1 as a Guardian. Reading this particular ability has like two things that are, I don't know. I just don't understand what the design philosophy was. Again, after you heal one or more horror from an investigator or ally asset, discover one clue at your location once per round. Tesla's clue discovery is incredible. I've learned that over the years, but ignoring Shroud, ignoring, I don't know, other treacheries that might keep you from investigating is very, very powerful.
Yep.
And it seems like a Rex ability, right? Or a Lucius Galloway ability where you're getting an extra clue, sort of. But the reality is you're getting it for doing something else, and you don't need to take a test most of the time. You can just do this. There are cards that give you a just heal horror. Even her Elder Sign does it. And progressing the game this way is nuts. One of the neat things I think about Carolyn Fern from Chapter 1 was that the resources she gave out, although unlimited, which was very good, allowed her to support the team and also support the team in the horror healing itself. It wasn't making the game go forward, but you were then using those resources to do something that you otherwise might not be able to do as easily, like throw some dynamite at a couple monsters. I think this is just, I'm not going to say boring, but it's really, really strong. And I don't know that she needs that for the horror healing. That's just a crazy ability to me. Oh, she's got 5 book.
Yeah.
Why?
She's got the Mandy stat line, one of the strongest stat lines in the game for a Seeker.
Tommy didn't get 5 punch in his new version. Like, why does she have 5? I don't know. And yeah. Then there's also, I'm not going to get into this here, but there's the kind of rules questions about the way her horror healing is worded here is different than the original wording. So what counts, what doesn't is a little nebulous too to me, which I don't know why they changed the wording, but whatever. I think this is just a kind of an absurd investigator. Honestly, I know that the starter decks, these evergreen decks, should be good on the surface, but like Harvey was good, but his thing was very simple: draw an extra card, and then there was things that took advantage of that. But a card draw is kind of a secret thing anyway. I don't know if exploring the horror healing thing makes a whole lot of sense. I'm not sure about this. We'll see where the class goes, but it seems like an odd thing to place onto a starter investigator still.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think to me, this kind of hits on something that we requested in previous videos, which is like the support Seeker sort of idea. I'm curious to see if that actually comes to pass in actuality, or if it's just a hurt self and then heal self, like heal thyself physician type thing, right? Where it's like she doesn't do anything else for other people. She's just like, I'm hurting myself with effect to heal myself for effect, right? Because Travis is playing her in the Hemlock run, and he's having a good time, but I think a big reason for that is that Carolyn Fern is just powerful, right? And Travis is like me, where you really enjoy powerful things, right? She didn't need 5 book. I understand why, and like the split of all the investigators, where like in the core set, Joe only has 4, but Daniela has 5, so here's our 5 book investigator. I don't think 5 book investigators should exist. I think that's like too good, right? Like, I think 5 Fist is okay because of the way enemies work in a scenario of Arkham compared to the way clues work in a scenario to Arkham. So the only thing I'm grateful for is if you look at her just in the slice of Chapter 2, she's powerful, but the secret card pool is a lot less strong than like how the Chapter 1 is in comparison to looking at a similar space, right? That's kind of like the only, I think, the big thing, because she's also just Mono Seeker, right? Which is probably better for like powerful effects like this, but I don't know if, for example, comparison Tommy compares. I think if Tommy wanted to truly compare, because he has to pay a resource for his ability, right?
He does.
Yeah, I think if Tommy truly wanted to compare to this, he wouldn't have to pay the resource to do that. to do what he does, right? I feel like that's just an example of, like, I can see the concept of Carolyn has horror. That's the cost that you have here, right? Like, you have to find the horror to get there. But that's not that hard to do, especially with cards that enable it, like the Dreamer's Chronicle with the cat book, right? Like, that's a powerful card in Carolyn, and it enables her ability, which is exactly what she wants, right? When she was spoiled, Travis was like, okay, now we just need a card that deals horror, and the next card he saw, he was like, that's all she needs, right? And that's just the reality of Carolyn Fern.
Yeah, it's interesting to me, though, when you bring up the support seeker part. I don't really know how much she's a support seeker because of this issue of she can just deal horror to herself, or is she just healing people so she can get clues? Like, is that really support? Like, kind of, but it's not quite the same thing as the Daisy giving away cards to really help someone else. Like, you're not doing that for any other reason. And maybe this is like splitting hairs a bit, but it does feel less support-y and more of a, I'm just playing the game and I need to find a horror somewhere.
Yeah. Well, the idea of support is the fact that, like, healing is, like, what people often will lean on as one of the options for support, right? Not, like, in the sense of, like, the traditional support. It's an aspect of it. And I think for healing to be good, it needs to be more than just healing, right? So, like, that's kind of the concept of this. But I think that it's curious to see in higher player counts if that actually does matter, or if it's going to be just like Daisy Walker, where it's like, sorry, I'm just going to use this old book of lore on myself, versus Carolyn being like, I'm going to go here and start grabbing clues and healing myself, and if an enemy comes, you have to come save me, right? Like, I'm curious to see if that is the play pattern that actually ends up happening.
She doesn't even need that. She's got Unflappable. She's got 3 foot. She's fine on her own, too. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Why is she number... Oh, no, I was like, oh, she's not... That's the starter decks aren't a set. I was like, why is she number 1 and not Tommy number 1? No, that's because she's from the Carolyn box. That's how that works. Yeah. All right, let's go to my card number 2 here. And this one, I found a way to get this card on another list. It's Chemistry Set.
Yay.
Yeah. So, this is my what the fuck of, wait a minute, this card's actually good. The plot twist. I went back and whenever there was a new set, I would do a video where I would, before I played the cards, I would go through and give like a rating for how powerful I think they are on first grasp. I do this because it's fun to do that for me personally. I provided content, and I enjoy being able to have a list of things to look back on and be like, oh, this is where this is going. Like, this is how I think the card was. This is where it was. Where was I right? Where was I wrong? Where was I, so off base? Where did I absolutely nail it? Like, that kind of stuff. Chemistry Set, on the initial rating, I gave a 2 out of 5. I was like, this card is not good. You cannot control it. So, like, that was a big thing where it's like, if you cannot control when a positive thing happens, is it worth putting into your deck? And then I put Chemistry Deck into a deck to try it out, because I like to play cards to make sure I'm actually right with my assessment of them, as opposed to just, like, giving them a blanket statement and that being that. And Chemistry Set blew my mind with how efficient it was. Because it turns out the worst way to play this card, at least in the starting thing, is trying to succeed by exactly these numbers. Like, yeah, you can control it with steady-handed down the road, but the fact is that this card is just a fine tool to put into your deck, investigate, and then get value from. I have seen situations where this gives multiple deductions, multiple cards, marks, multiple resources, and I have seen play, I'm going to just say it before, because I know someone's experienced it, where you just always fail by exactly 2, and then it's gone immediately. But the fact is that the most common use case I've seen for Chemistry Set is it triggers the, like, succeed by 2, succeed by 0, succeed by 4, 1 or 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 times in a scenario, and that's just like a lot of value. I think now I'd give this card like a 4 out of 5, which for a level 0 card is very good. But just like doubling my initial assessment on this card, because I was just of how off base I was my biggest what the fuck in terms of like being wrong about a card.
Yeah, I think I was also looking at this saying, okay. I would add that it's a fun card to play. And that is a design win in my estimation anyway. Just like it doesn't have to be like the results don't have to be amazing, but it is fun to play to kind of think about, okay, which thing might I get here? What are the chances I fail by exactly two? It does fit into sort of the seeker privilege of there's no boost in this, so you're just doing this for the results, right? You're just doing it to try to get the cards or resources, and there aren't a whole lot of other level 0 accessory slots. So it seems like a pretty easy add when everything else is going pretty well.
Yeah.
It's a fine card. I'm not as high on it as you are because I have been the person to immediately discard it. But I don't think that makes it a bad card. I think that just makes it an interesting one.
Yeah. I'm out of the thing where I would put it in every single one of my decks, where like my decks would start with chemistry set. I mean, I'm a very big value-based player, right? Where it's just like if I can squeeze out as much value as I can from one action, right? Like that's what I strive for. It's why I like perceptions so much for my card draw. Like perception 2 is like my card draw option in my secret decks. And anything that gets you like to get something while doing something is kind of exactly what I squeeze out, what I look for in these games. And I think that's a great transition into your next card here. Your last card on this, which is Out the Door level 0.
Okay, this is level 01. I will mention something about the level 1 as well. So this one also has a story, which is when this was previewed. The card, I think, right before it that was previewed was Watch This. And it was like, great, they reprinted a rogue staple to get us some cash. Like, there hasn't been a ton of ways to get resources in Chapter 2, and that needs to change. That you need to have some way to pay for all the expensive stuff, and rogues like their money. So a return to a skill that gives you money is nice. And Watch This has always been not like mind-blowing. It's very good, but it's got some risk. It has that fun rogue gambling aspect to it. And then immediately afterwards, they print this. I'm like, well, wait a second. You know what this card does? It gives you 2 resources, or anyone, actually. There's some support there. And you might lose them, but guess what skill cards usually do? They help you pass a test.
Yep.
So Watch This gives you 1 icon, level 0 version. You have to succeed by 1 to get the money. You have to have the money to make the money back. This card, you just need to pass the test. You don't have to have anything to begin with. You can even spend those resources during the test, like on a Silver Tongue or something. And it has 2 icons?
Yep.
Going back through level 0 cards that have more than 1 matching icon, and here the Wild is doing the work, there's nothing other than the cards that just give you icons. So your Inquiring Mind or whatnot. So there's the neutral skills. They draw you a card. Daring kind of is in this boat too because it draws you a card. But there's nothing at level 0 that gives you more than 1 icon and some other effect. This is bizarre. Like, I think they forgot that there was like the agility icon here or something. I don't know. For level 0 compared to all these other skill cards we get right off the boat and level 0, this is wildly powerful. Now, it is just 2 resources, but what if you spent 1 more XP, just 1, and you doubled that? Well, you don't have to wonder too much because that card exists too.
Yeah, it does exist. I'm not going to say too much because I have Out the Door 1 as my last card. I think we can talk about these ones together. I'll kind of do my little intro spiel to this, and then we'll kind of talk about them in tandem. Of note, this was actually the card I thought of first when I thought about this list video. So I was very happy to see Out the Door 0 on yours. I had a similar thing. I was looking through the cards, and I had like when I saw Watch This level 0, and I was like, let's go! Watch This level 0 is back. I love this card. That's great. This is awesome. And then I saw Out the Door 0, and I was like, yeah, this is like kind of just a better Watch This. It reminds me a lot of Burning the Midnight Oil, right? It's like in the similar kind of space as those cards, which are good, but not really like they're efficient, but not really like gangbusters, right? And then I saw Out the Door 1, and I said, what the fuck? I think this is one of the strongest cards they've ever made. This card is insanely strong. Like, as I was just saying with Chemistry Set, the strongest effects, in my opinion, are like, so like Faustian Bargain is very strong. Like, I'm not going to say that it isn't, right? It costs an action to get 5 resources for 2 curse tokens. That's really, really good. But the reason why I like Watch This is like, what if I got 3 resources, but I got a clue or I defeated an enemy, right? Like, that is just actually by definition more tempo than just gaining like an emergency cash by comparison. But there was a big difference between Watch This and Faustian Bargains. 3 and 5 is a notable difference in resources. It's about an out the door 0 level worth of resources between the two. But out the door 1 is 4 resources. Like, that's an insane amount of resources to just get during a test. Like, that's, it's like, I can't even like put it into words about like why this card is like as good as it is, apart from the fact that just saying 4 resources is a lot of resources. Like, to just get without even like needing an extra hoop to jump through, right? And yeah, like, you could lose those 4 resources if you fail. So like, there's this idea of, yeah, there is some risk involved, but it's just the auto fail. But that's kind of like the risk that exists for every other skill, like in comparison to what you were saying for Watch This 0, right? There's the auto fail risk in that as well, but you have to pay up front, right? Without the door, as long as you don't spend those 4 resources, which I do like the idea of like a Preston Fairmont deck that spends the resources, so if he loses them, he doesn't care, right? Like, as like that kind of thing, I think is really cool. But like, that's not the play pattern that this card is gonna have or has had in the time that I've seen it.
Doesn't Preston just keep them anyway?
Yeah, because they go on his inheritance, so it's like even less of a risk associated with him. But like, this card, when I just saw it, I was just like, "What the hell is this? This is," I was like, "This is insane!" Like, this card is just. It's everything I want in my play pattern, and like the level 0 version is also very good. Like, not to like talk this one down. Like, 2 resources is a good amount of money. It has a wild icon, so you can use it for anything on any one, right? Like, realistically, out the door 0 probably should have just been a foot, right? As opposed to foot wild, and then maybe the wild comes on this one. But this one also gaining 4 resources. That's a absurd amount of money for a card to give you while you're also like evading an enemy, investigating, fighting, or passing a mythos test, right? Like, whatever the hell you want, just get 4 resources on top of it. That is so efficient.
So here's the comparison to a chapter 1 card, Cheat the System. This is a card that is rogue, and lets you fast, which is really the important comparison, gain resources equal to the number of different classes you control. So probably you have rogue if you're playing a rogue. That's going to get you 1. To get 4 resources, you need to have played maybe 4 assets, but maybe it's less than that with synergy cards. And that is something that takes a little while to do. You know what Cheat the System doesn't let you do? Doesn't actually help you pass a skill test. This just gives you the money and gives you a way to pass a skill test on top of it. It's crazy. Like,
it's crazy.
It's everything you want. And that's why I think like Faustian not being fast and not giving you a skill boost is, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say that's a fair card because I think it's also over the curve, but this is just that much better for just 1 measly XP.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, in Legacy, Faustian is always going to be goated economy, but I actually don't think it's the best resource card in Rogue anymore. Out the door is... It's insane. It's an insane card.
And it's also weird because you think of the other resource generation, or even... So I think it's like the other skills that came out in the same deck that ask more from you. Like, you spend resources to get the skill value. It's like level 3. I think this is a level 3 card. Maybe 2. But level 1, making it that easy to get after scenario 1. And I know some people are going to say, like, because of the cards I picked, like, I must hate good cards. Like, that's not really my opinion here. I think I'm just skeptical when things feel out of place from the earlier designs, or even the designs that exist in the current card pool, and just say that, well, this sticks out. And I think that rogues should have better economy than other classes. Like, that's definitely the case. But there's a line to draw somewhere, right? I'm not going to make the argument that just because they should have good economy means that they can gain any number of resources they want. Like, there has to be some design philosophy about how much is too much, and what is the right for amount for the card at the certain level. And I think this is out of proportion with what we've seen in the rest of the card pool.
Yeah. I would love to have seen a version of this card that was like, after it's committed, the performing investor gains 4 resources. At the end of the round, that investigator loses 4 resources. So, like, you have to, like,
cool.
spend the money. And then, because, like, but the reality is that this card does help, like, a lot of rogues as well. Like, Skids likes this card. It's, during a test, he gets to, like, during an action, he gets to gain another action, right? Like, but it's also, like, cascades down into off-class rogues. Like, Leo Anderson loves this effect. He uses it while fighting and then is able to buy, like, a beat cop. Like, this card pays for a beat cop, which is, like...
Right.
That's like that's a crazy amount of economy that exists in one card. And I agree, this probably should cost 2 XP, or it should have been an emergency cash, because that still would have been... I think in a perfect world, this would have been a foot icon and 2 resources. This would have been as printed, but 3 resources instead of 4 for its icon. Like, icons printed, but then 3 resources instead. And I think then we'd be looking at being like, ooh, this card is very good, as opposed to, what the fuck?
Can you imagine if Silas could play this?
Yes, I would love to imagine that.
You just return it to your hand?
Oh, is there any way I can get this? I mean, I could, like, honestly, though, this in Silas with, like, a versatile,
Yeah.
honestly wouldn't be terrible in the right deck. But, like, if I could do that with Silas, oh boy! That's why traits matter, kids. That's why traits matter.
It does. But even, like, the skill type of recursion we talked about earlier, you have to pay attention to cards like this at low levels. At, you know, skills are tough to design. They are fast, free cards. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is an example of one that might have slipped through. I also will say, I don't think that it deserves to be tabooed. I think that there is, I think it's too soon to say stuff like that. I think it's just that, I mean, my hope is that because these investigator decks in the core set are designed to be evergreen, that they don't feel compelled to make too many more, like, economy cards. Because I would rather if player card boxes, both big and small, now focused instead on how can we explore the class as opposed to how can we build the class foundation. Because as far as I'm concerned, I think the class foundation for the most part is pretty comfortable with this evergreen pool.
Mm-hmm. Like, they can say, you have your unconditional money, we're not going to print, you know, bank job or something, unless it makes sense with an archetype.
It's a little bit strange. It definitely feels like the rogue class are kind of signposted to be skills. Well, with Andre and, like, though I think, like, they'll out the door and they'll watch this and I'm hoping they explore that further, because I think that could be kind of cool. But this card's crazy. This card's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those were 6 cards that made us go, what the fuck? So thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing your perspective as always, Daniel. It's always fun to chat Arkham with you.
Thanks.
It's always strange to say this, and then we stop and it's like, okay, let's record another video, and it's like the first time we talk today.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's the content creation grind.
People can just press, you know, the next button on their device and watch the next one.
Yeah, it's like we've never left. It's like we never stopped. If you
they just chained us in this room anyway.
No, I mean, that's kind of what YouTube is, right? We're stuck in the prison of this on their TV screen. So we're always on your TV, we're always on your phone if you want us to be. Please let us free. Go outside and touch grass for a little bit. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to support the channel, like, comment, subscribe, join our Patreon, our members, all that would be really appreciated. In the meantime, you can let me know in the comments what you think are some cards that made you go, what the fuck? I always like hearing your perspectives on that. Have a good one. Thanks for watching, and as always, GG's.